Welcome to our AN Star video, or as we call it, ISVi, the collaborative lens on Vancouver, unfiltered, unscripted, and powered by community. We're not just a voice behind the mic. We're a collective of creators, thinkers, storytellers, and city lovers coming together to spotlight the people, places, and energy that make Vancouver what it is. From coast mountain skylines to neon-lit backstreets, we're covering everything from downtown buzz to the untold stories shaping our scene. You'll find us exclusively on YouTube. No algorithms, no filters, just real talk. For behind the scenes, updates, and chaotic brilliance in real time, follow us on TikTok and Instagram. So hit subscribe, drop a comment, and help us grow from 100 to 10,000 and beyond. Because this isn't just our platform, it's yours too. Turn it up, get into it. Let's talk Vancouver. This is ISV. Vancouver is that hot, mysterious ex who keeps showing up on your feed looking flawless in natural light, holding a kombucha, and talking about their deep connection to the ocean. And just like that ex, living here will ruin your credit score and your emotional stability. But wow, the photos are stunning. Let's not sugarcoat it. Vancouver is objectively gorgeous. It's the kind of place that makes you gasp a little when the sun hits the mountains just right, when the cherry blossoms bloom like a Studio Ghibli backdrop, or when the fog rolls in over the sea like Mother Nature just dropped a new aesthetic. But behind that glow up is a financial horror film. Living in Vancouver in 2025 isn't just expensive, it's giving. Why is rent the same price as a liver transplant? Energy? People move here for the lifestyle, the hiking before brunch, beach at lunch, snowboarding by dinner sort of vibe. But what they don't tell you is that you'll also be hiking up your rent, budgeting for bus fare like it's a luxury purchase, and snowballing your credit card payments just to feel something. It's a city where the view is free, but literally everything else requires generational wealth, 5 roommates, or a side hustle you lie about on LinkedIn. And yet, we stay. Or we dream of staying. Because Vancouver doesn't just seduce you with natural beauty, it gaslights you into thinking a $17 poke bowl is self-care, and that you're lucky to live in a place where the seawall is your therapist. You'll find yourself defending the unaffordability like it's a toxic partner. Yeah, it's expensive, but have you seen the sunsets? So the big question is, can you actually afford to live here? Like really live, not just survive on instant ramen in a shared attic with questionable insulation and a raccoon roommate. So you want to rent in Vancouver? Adorable. Welcome to the Hunger Games of housing, where the competition is fierce, the units are tiny, and the winner gets the privilege of paying $2,900 a month to live inside what was legally a closet in the 1980s. Let's talk numbers. As of 2025, average rent in Vancouver has officially left the chat with sanity. A basic studio downtown will run you well over $2,300 a month. That's if you're lucky enough to find one that doesn't include a no oven, no pets, no joy claws. What you get for these prices varies. Sometimes it's a garden level suite, which is landlord code for dungeon with mold. Sometimes it's a character unit, which means the floors creak like ghosts are filing complaints. There's also a very special type of Vancouver rental known as the den that thinks it's a bedroom trademark. It's windowless, doorless, and barely fits a twin mattress. But it's marketed as a junior 1-bedroom because apparently delusion is part of the listing. And don't get us started on application processes. Renting here feels like trying to join an exclusive club you can't afford, with requirements like proof of income, credit checks, references, a LinkedIn profile, and possibly a blood sample. Some listings ask for personal essays. Others ask you to outbid other renters like it's an auction for pain. You basically need to interview harder for a $2,600 studio than you would for a corporate job at Spotify. The worst part? This is all somehow normal. We joke about it, we meme about it, and we keep paying it because the alternative is moving to a cheaper city and explaining to your soul why it doesn't get to see the mountains anymore. If renting in Vancouver is a high-stakes emotional roller coaster, owning property here is basically playing Monopoly with Elon Musk money while you're still paying off your student line of credit from 2014. Let's start with the basics. The average price of a detached home in Vancouver, over $2 million. Condo prices aren't exactly better. A one-bedroom downtown averages around $750 K, and that's before you factor in strata fees, property taxes, and the fact that your balcony is the size of a Doritos bag. Now let's talk down payments. The standard 20% down on $1 million shoebox is $200 K. That's not a typo, $200,000. Which means if you haven't inherited money, made bank in tech, or flipped a very successful OnlyFans side hustle, you'll likely be saving until your knees start making Rice Krispie sounds when you squat. Even if you do scrape together the down payment, you still have to pass the bank's vibe check, aka the mortgage stress test, which is basically them asking, will you still be able to pay if the economy explodes? The answer is always no, but you smile and lie anyway. So who does own homes in Vancouver? Tech bros named Connor with 6 screens in their condo. Boomer parents who bought in the ADS for $94 K and now accidentally own a $3.2 million asset. And the rest? They just pretend Zillow listings are Pokemon cards. Fun to look at, impossible to catch. Okay, so you've made it past the rent trauma. But guess what? Rent is just the opening boss battle. The real villain is the cost of literally everything else in this city. Let's start with groceries. You ever go into Whole Foods for oat milk and walk out with $46 of accidentally artisanal sadness? A bag of organic salad mix is $7.99, and for that price, it should at least whisper words of encouragement. Buying groceries here isn't just shopping, it's a test of values, financial literacy, and whether you've emotionally detached from your avocado addiction. Transportation? If you don't own a car, congrats, you're environmentally conscious and broke. A monthly TransLink pass is over $130, and that's if your route doesn't randomly require a bus, a train, a boat, and a mild sprint. Owning a car? Be prepared for gas prices that make you consider biking in January and parking fees that cost more than your therapy copay. Let's move on to the social life tax, aka the cost of trying to have fun without sinking into a financial pit. A night out in Vancouver can easily cost $100 just to look like you effortlessly chill. Brunch, $30. Cocktail, $18. And don't forget the wellness inflation where everyone's meditating, stretching, or spiraling, and paying $180/month to do it. Hot yoga, float tanks, sound baths, energy cleanses. This city will charge you to cry in silence and call it healing. Also, being green in Vancouver is practically a financial personality. You'll start feeling guilty for not buying plastic-free toothpaste tablets, and then realize the zero waste version costs $22. By this point, you're probably thinking, wait, who is actually pulling this off? Because between the $3,200 rent, $7 lattes, and yoga class that costs more than your phone bill, Vancouver feels less like a city and more like an elite simulator you accidentally spawned into on hard mode. Let's clear the air. Yes, there are tech bros. Surprise. A lot of people staying afloat here are dual income couples, preferably with no kids, high-paying jobs, and an obsessive budgeting app that sends notifications like a judgmental mom. Then we've got multi-generational households, families pooling resources like a mini co-op to live under one roof. Grandma owns the land, dad built a laneway suite, and everyone's pitching in for groceries and Netflix. International students and digital nomads, they're also here often bankrolled by family or working remote gigs for companies based in currencies that actually make sense. Let's not forget the hustlers and side gig warriors. These are the people working 2 jobs, flipping thrift finds on Depop, selling commissioned art, teaching Pilates on Zoom, and maybe renting out their apartment while secretly couch surfing. Also living in Vancouver, people who've made peace with the financial chaos and accepted low-key broke as an aesthetic. They have roommates, budget with spreadsheets and prayer, and stretch leftovers like it's a TikTok challenge. And finally, let's talk about the wild card. People who got in early. The ones who bought in 1998 and now casually own $2 million properties while referring to themselves as middle class. Let's be real, living in Vancouver on a normal person's income feels like being in a survival reality show called Budget Island, Pacific Paint Edition. So how are these resilient gremlins of rent pulling it off? First off, roommates, like so many roommates. Then there's the holy trinity of basement suites, laneway homes, and garden level units, aka affordable options if you're cool with ceilings that hover 2 inches above your head and windows that face a fence. Next, side hustles. Everyone's doing something extra. dog walking, DoorDash, selling crochet mushrooms on Etsy, teaching yoga to stress tech workers, freelancing for a client in Berlin while making smoothies at a co-op cafe on Commercial Drive. And let's not forget the creative communal economy. Clothing swaps, community fridges, library of things, free stores on Facebook Marketplace. It's giving anarchist co-op but with better lighting. Some folks are going full send alternative. Living in vans, boats, or honestly iconic floating homes is a whole subculture. They're skipping the landlord entirely, living on their own terms, and figuring out how to shower without a fixed address. And finally, people are learning the ancient art of nope. I can't afford that. That $21 salad. Pass. That $100 wellness retreat where you cry in a yurt? Respectfully, no. Let's be honest, at some point in your Vancouver journey, probably while paying $16 for a smoothie that tastes like wet kale and broken dreams, you're gonna ask yourself, is this even worth it? And then right when you're about to pack up and move to Calgary, the city hits you with a sunset so emotionally manipulative, it should be illegal. Because here's the trap. Vancouver is beautiful. Like offensively beautiful. It's the kind of place where you can hike through a rainforest, snowboard on a mountain, and paddleboard past a billionaire's yacht all before brunch. So yeah, you're broke. But you're broke in a place where your walk to work includes views people put on vision boards, you're budgeting aggressively, but you're also spending your Sundays watching seals nap next to yachts, and suddenly your credit card debt feels manageable. The quality of life here is top tier. If you can get past the fact that you're shelling out 60% of your income to live in a converted garage, you'll realize that being in Vancouver means having daily access to natural healing energy you usually have to pay a therapist or an astrologer to explain. But that lifestyle tax hits hard. You'll spend as much time doing free things hiking, beach walks, accidentally attending festivals you didn't pay for as you do saying, sorry, I'm on a budget this week, every week. So here we are, standing at the emotional edge of the Pacific, half inspired, half financially destroyed, asking ourselves, is Vancouver worth the chaos? And the answer, like most complicated love stories, is yes, but it might ruin your credit. But somehow, people make it work, whether it's through roommates, resilience, side hustles, or straight up delusion. Vancouverites are masters of financial gymnastics. They'll pack lunches, walk 45 minutes to avoid a $3 bus ride, and say things like, I can't go out tonight, I'm broke, want to hang at Kitts Beach instead? The cost of beauty in Vancouver is steep, and it doesn't just hit your wallet, it hits your psyche. But for those who choose to stay, there's something defiant in that choice. Something romantic, something a little unhinged. So, can you afford to live here? Maybe not technically, but with enough hustle, enough compromise, and just the right amount of chaos energy, you can. Final verdict, expensive? Yes. Emotionally healing? Also yes. Worth the financial trauma? Only if you've got stamina, spreadsheets, and a deep emotional bond with the ocean. Now go forth, budget bravely, and don't forget to cry on a mountain when it gets too real. It's tradition. And just like that, the city's pulse slows. But the story doesn't stop. You've been watching ISVi, IMRAN Star Video, where voices come together and the city speaks back. We're a crew, not a single face. A movement, not a moment. And every episode, that's built with you for you by all of us. From the seawall to the skyline, from underground voices to rooftop vibes, we're telling the stories that don't make the news, but make the neighborhood. If this episode hit, pass it on. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram. Drop a comment and tell us what your Vancouver sounds like. We're building this together, clip by clip, story by story. From 100 to 10K, to wherever this takes us. When we get there, we all show up. So until the next drop, stay loud, stay collective, and stay in it. This is ISVi, signing off.